Hi, my name is Maura and I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm here to tell you about my life-changing event. In 2008, when the economy took its dip, I found myself laid off and without any possibility of a job. So I went back to school to become an anesthesia assistant. When I did the school year, I did well in classes and then had to do my internship. I definitely began to doubt if I had the abilities to do this job. Never had any experience in the medical field, but my school knowledge was there, so I kept going. My last month of my last internship was at Memorial Hermann, which is a level 1 trauma hospital. Big deal. And I was working a 3 to 11 shift, and we got a trauma come in, which is pretty common. This was a 17-year-old boy who had been in a car accident and got ejected from his vehicle. He came in pretty bad condition, and I assisted the anesthesia team in intubation and his IV lines and giving blood products. We probably had to give anywhere from 50 to 60 bags of blood and plasma. As the surgeon had gone on in the surgery, he had already amputated both of his legs and one of his arms and decided that we weren't going to be able to save him. And the anesthesia was doing their best to keep him alive, and we got him ready to transport up to the shock trauma ICU. Somehow on the transporting, I ended up being the one on giving him his breaths with the ambu bag. I was being his ventilation. And when we arrived as we were traveling upstairs, the nurse informed us that the family was going to be waiting because the surgeon had already let them know that we weren't going to be able to save him, but we were going to bring him up so that they could say their goodbyes. When we rounded the corner, I heard the mom crying, and I knew this was going to be difficult. Respiratory wasn't ready for us when we got in there, and so I ended up having to stand in this room with this family, and they're probably their most tragic, horrific day of their lives, and kept having to breathe for their son. I stood there and until respiratory finally came and relieved me, and once they put him on the ventilator, I started to gather my equipment to take back down to the operating room. The mom turned and asked if any of us were willing and able to pray with them as they said their goodbyes. And I realized right then that I was in the exact spot that God intended me to be. That it was a culmination of my education, my skills, my ability, and my faith that I could do this job. Not only could I do this job, but I could do this job well. A month later, I was hired on at Memorial Hermann, and in March of this year, it'll be 6 years. I love my job. I love that I'm able to be a part of it, and I love that my faith continues to help me pray for the surgeons, for the operating staff, and for the patients that we take care of. That was my life-changing event, and that was the lesson I learned from it. Thank you very much.